Hi guys, Michael Abayomi here. So I just got done watching the season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, titled The Queen Who Never Was. And as usual and customary with my recaps, we're going to be discussing the episode in full spoiler details. So if you know you haven't seen the episode, I don't want to be spoiled beforehand, consider this a spoiler warning. So the episode opens in Essos, where we see Tywin Lannister bargaining with the members of the Triarchy in a bid to follow up on Amon's command, which was to get their aid in helping to break Rhaenyra's blockade. But the members of the Triarchy drive a very hard bargain, asking for full control of the Stepstones, as well as the ability to levy taxes on all ships passing through there, all of which Tywin is forced to accept. But before the deal can be properly sealed, he must first earn the respect of the leader of their fleet, Admiral Lohar. And we later see the two of them engaged in some mud wrestling, which Tywin somehow manages to win and thereby secures their respect and loyalty. So this scene pretty much shows the degree of desperation at Team Green right now, since they have to stoop as low as forming an alliance with the Triarchy. And it was also an opportunity for us to get to see the region of Essos, and from what was shown, you could see that they had their different customs and the colorful landscape. Even the characters themselves are flamboyant and colorful, so it was just a nice contrast to the gloom and doom we've been experiencing in Westeros all this while. But speaking of Westeros, we then get a scene showing Amon and Vega overlooking the burning ruins of Sharp Point, which was a town that was under the control of Team Black. So apparently, in a fit of rage following the ending of the last episode, he had lashed out and poured out all that anger on the poor, unsuspecting townfolk. So this scene kind of just shows us how Amon is gradually becoming more and more unhinged. As they position him as the central villain for the show, we can see that he has that tendency to act in ways that might not seem particularly strategic, and that he's also still being driven by some emotions, and all the demons on the inside are still haunting him apparently. And later on, we even see him try and recruit his sister Helena, telling her that she needs to take up mounts on a dragon Dreamfire to shore up their forces, a request that Alicent is particularly in opposition to. And we even get Helena revealing that she knew exactly what had transpired between him and Aegon, the fact that he was responsible for everything that happened to him, and she even kind of foreshadows his ultimate fate, saying that he was going to eventually die and that Aegon would eventually rise to power once again. So it remains to be seen if any of these things will happen, but looking at our track record thus far this season, I'm inclined to believe that this is exactly how things are going to play out. Then we also get a number of scattered scenes showing Raina in the Vale, searching for the wild dragon that was flying around there. And I can't help but wonder what the guards that were supposed to be escorting Raina and her brothers from the Vale, what exactly are these guards doing, because they don't seem to be aware of the fact that she just slipped away right under their noses. And even remains to be seen exactly what Raina's plan is. We know that she's trying to claim this wild dragon, but it remains to be seen if she's going to be successful. So the whole thing just kind of feels tacked on in my opinion, but I'm hoping that eventually this will tie into all the other events and it will pay off in a way that makes sense. Then we get a scene with Aegon showing his recovery, but he's told by the Laris that they would need to flee in the wake of the war that was coming to their doorsteps at King's Landing. So his plan was for the two of them to head over to Bravos, where they planned to stay hidden until the war had been fought and both sides had expended themselves, so that he can now swoop in and claim his rightful place as king. Over at Dragonstone, we get Jace, who is still pretty much pissed about the fact that they now have these low-born dragon riders within their ranks, and we even see him confronting Ulf, who was pretty much just being himself, like lounging around and kicking back. But then he gets some encouragement from Bela, who tells him that regardless of everything that is happening, that he was still the rightful heir to Rhaenyra and that he should take his rightful place at her side. Rhaenyra, meanwhile, is a bit hesitant to take advantage of her new dragon riders and crush the growing forces of Team Green once and for all. But Lord Corlys encourages her to do this, and she is forced to accept the inevitability of the forthcoming battles. Over at Harrenhal, Sir Alfred finally arrives, and instead of checking on Damon and making sure that he was still in alignment with the goals of Rhaenyra, He instead more or less tells him that he needs to declare himself openly as the rightful heir to the throne and king, and that was the only way for them to have a true chance of winning the forthcoming war. But Damon is later woken up in the middle of the night by Allis, who takes him to the Godswood, where he has what is probably his most decisive vision thus far, in which he sees his role in the forthcoming conflict, as well as Rhaenyra's claim to the throne, and all the things that were going to happen in Game of Thrones, including the arrival of the White Walkers and the rise of Daenerys. So this scene more or less just ties the entire show House of the Dragon to Game of Thrones, which is something that they've kind of been loosely doing in the background all this while, but we finally get that conclusive thread tying the two shows together, and we also get what looks like Damon's ultimate fate as we see him falling in battle. So this scene more or less just sets the stage for his redemption arc, because later on when Rhaenyra gets word that he might be planning some treachery and she rides over there on Cyrax with Adam and Sea Smoke, it was to find out that he was ready to renew his allegiance to her. He was ready to pledge his fealty once again, which kind of just wraps up his redemption arc, and we finally get a payoff on all the visions he's been having thus far, as we can see how he has grown as a character and has come to recognize that it is not about him at the end of the day, that he's just a small piece of the overall puzzle. Then in a surprise twist that I really didn't see coming, we have Alicent making her way to Dragonstone in the cover of night in a bid to parley with Rhaenyra. She reveals that if Rhaenyra was willing to hear her out and spare her and the rest of her family, that she would ensure that they are able to take King's Landing without the need for further bloodshed. But Rhaenyra of course reiterates the fact that that ship had already sailed, and the fact that too much had already been lost for any kind of deal to be struck, and in any case for her to be able to shore up her claim to the throne, she would eventually have to take Aegon's head. And the episode ends with a montage showing the various armies marching and sailing towards battle, setting up what is sure to be a very explosive third season. So looking at the episode as a whole, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't a bit let down by the fact that it wasn't punctuated by one final climactic moment. Yes, I know we've already gotten the Battle of Rook's Rest earlier on in the season, but it feels kind of hollow and empty to end without really giving us any kind of conclusion to most of all the things that had been building up, because it just felt like this was more build up. So we didn't really get that climactic moment that usually caps off a Game of Thrones season. But in terms of what we actually did get, it was filled with all the character developments and all the setup and build up that is sure to bring us back for that third season. But on its own, it just kind of feels incomplete, I have to say. I guess this is also a symptom of the fact that we only got 8 episodes this time around instead of the usual 10 episodes that we're supposed to get, and the knowledge that we might not get that third season until another 2 years from now. So it just kind of makes the whole second season feel like build up for that third season, with just enough revelations and resolutions to string viewers along. Anyway, these are just my thoughts about the season 2 finale of House of the Dragon. What did you think about the episode and the season as a whole? Did the season deliver all the spectacle and all the intrigue that you expected from a season of House of the Dragon? Or were you also let down by its relatively abrupt ending? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed watching this discussion, and to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on if you like to see more discussions like this in the future. And until the next one, this is Michael, signing off.